Hi there, welcome to another installment of Triple J's Thoughts, where I like to review preferably films, but also musicals, operas, or plays, or anything that kind of speaks to me. And in this installment, it's been a little bit of a time. I've been actually quite busy over the last month or so, and I had promised some videos, especially pertaining to the Oscars coming up this Sunday. Right now I'm actually in beautiful Victoria, British Columbia. I'm doing an opera contract, so it gave me a chance to have a little downtime to focus on the videos, but as well as see some movies that I haven't seen for a while. And in this recording, I'd like to do the review of one of the Best Picture nominees, which is Jojo Rabbit, directed by Tailka Waititi. And let's dive in. So again, I'm reviewing the movie Jojo Rabbit, which is nominated for Best Picture. It stars some familiar names such as Scarlett Johansson, who actually is a nominee for Best Supporting Actress, Rebel Wilson, Sam Rockwell, and Waititi himself. We also have two young upcoming stars such as Roman Davis, who plays the titular Jojo or Johannes, Thomasin McKenzie, who plays a teenage Jew. And this movie takes place during, of course, Nazi propaganda Germany during World War II. So when it comes to this movie, I actually saw it twice in theaters, once a month ago and just recently while I'm here in Victoria. I actually meant to do a review during that time, but something happened with my camera. Anyway, so I wanted to review it now, especially because the Oscars are coming up on Sunday. When I saw the ads or trailers for this movie and heard about it, it kind of took me back a little bit. And I think it took back a lot of people because of the whole subject matter. You're talking about obviously dealing with one of the worst world atrocities as in World War II, and having a situation where you see Waititi himself playing an imaginary friend of Jojo's, who is Adolf Hitler. So you kind of are taken back a little bit and kind of fearful with everything. But taking a little bit of a chance, when you actually see the film, you start to realize that it's more about the journey of Jojo's character himself and how Waititi actually melts together his own unique style of dark humor as well as lightheartedness that comes out and bleeds through the entire film to give the impression of a wonderful journey that builds throughout the entire film. So there's a nice little phrase that my mother always liked to say, out of evil cometh good. And I think Waititi, through his directorial style, was able to achieve that because he takes you on, as I said previously, a journey of just, dark humor because of the dark subject matter that is being presented here, to dealing with how to deal with a young boy dealing with the atrocities of war and everything like that. So just the idea of, I guess my point is to give it a chance. And that's what I did, and I didn't regret it one bit. Next, I'd like to talk about the actual performances of this wonderful little film. We have Scarlett Johansson, as I mentioned before. She's nominated for Best Supporting Actress, and well-deserved, besides being a gorgeous woman. She's a very, very good actress, and she really shows her chops in here because she plays actually a very fun-loving mother, realizing the atrocities of war, and which, as you find out through the movie, she doesn't really agree with. And so she has to, blend between the idea of keeping the lightheartedness or youthfulness of Jojo out, to try and bring that out of him. And I found it was played very, very well by Miss Scarlett Johansson. One of the things that kind of reminds me of is the movie by Roberto Benigni.
Questa! Pinocchio! Babbo! No! Questo chi è? Come si chiama? Questo come si chiama? Questo chi è, babbo? No! Il letto! Il letto del Pinocchio!
Not that one. actually is Life is Beautiful, where both kind of characters, Rosie, Scarlett Johansson's character, and Roberto Benigni play these parental figures that need to basically, cover the eyes of their young ones away from the atrocities of war and what the evilness that can come through with it. And I find that Scarlett Johansson did a fantastic job of that. Another call out is young Roman Davis, who plays the titular Jojo, Johannes. And again, he embodies, and I think it's also Waititi's style in dealing with actually kids. He seems to do really well with kids. And Johannes actually, you can see that he's totally enveloped in this, Nazi propaganda mentality. But at the same time, you can still see bits and pieces of his boyishness, his fun-lovingness, his lightheartedness, being a 10-year-old. Not this, war criminal kind of mentality. He's still a 10-year-old. And that really bleeds through by the work of this young actor. And he, you can see his progression. You can see his journey that he's able to achieve here. Standouts as well as I found Rebel Wilson. Actually, she had a little supporting role as well, and I like Rebel Wilson, and I found she did a really good job here. Sam Rockwell, he always brings it, and did a fantastic job as well. Also, Thomasin McKenzie, who played the teenage Jewish girl who's basically being hidden by Rosie, the mother, and again, she brought a very strong at first, a very strong emotional punch and had a very, very good repartee and connection with Jojo as the movie progresses. I also like to talk about specific scenes that because as we like to say, we don't want to give away spoilers, so I want to make sure and give you things to just food for thought if you do see the movie in the near future. One of the things that stood out for me was the connection between Jojo and Rosie, his mother, and how they, right away, there's a scene where they're just having dinner together as son and mother. And you can see that the way Waititi kind of directs it is that one is on one side of the table and the other's on the other side of the table. Which in the beginning shows the dichotomy of their mentality, Jojo being very Nazi propaganda, and the mother kind of not only trying to dissuade him away from that, but also showing her stance of bring back the freedom of Germany. Let's put away this war. Let's put away all these kind of things. And it showed it very, very well. And then there's another part of the scene, of the dinner scene, I like to call it, that really stood out. And just again, the dynamic of mother and son. And another scene that spoke to me as well is they went for, just out in the countryside. And again, Rosie was trying to show Jojo just again that idea of humor, of freedom, of just being a mother, being a good mother to him, to show him that he shouldn't be a 10-year-old boy and not this other side that he seems to be brainwashed into. And they had a nice, beautiful bike ride and all these kind of great things that just showed the lightheartedness of the movie, again contrasting with the dark subject matter. Also, another kind of, not scene, but just anytime this happened, which I really appreciated, was Jojo had this best friend named Yorkie, this kind of pudgy kid. And anytime they were on screen together, it was just a delight. And they had absolutely unbelievable chemistry whenever they were together. So again, that's another thing to look out for. This movie takes ups and downs between humor, serious subject matter, everything. And it leads to certain conclusions and whatnot. And there is a phrase that I like to bring out, which is the shoe scene. If anyone you've seen has seen this movie, and you say, hey, the shoe scene, it's almost like a secret code. They know exactly what you're talking about. When you see the movie, don't go, okay, I gotta watch for shoes. Anytime I see shoes, I gotta see it because you're trying to watch for the shoe scene. enjoy the movie. Let it embrace you. It'll hit you. It'll hit you like a brick. And as a result, when you hear the phrase, the shoe scene, you'll know exactly what I will mean, or anyone means. And it's kind of funny because I had my costume fitting for my show yesterday, and they were tying my shoes. And it just brought up that aspect of the shoe scene. So I started to laugh, and they were asking, what's so funny? So I had to tell them that I saw the movie Jojo Rabbit, and there's the shoe scene, and it kind of reminded me of it. So that is one of the most poignant scenes in the entire movie. And again, don't look out for it in every single second. Be like, where's the shoe scene? Where's the shoe scene? Because I even heard about it before I even saw it. But if you just let the movie take you in, it'll definitely hit you. So in conclusion, don't write off this movie because of the subject matter. Again, even when I saw the trailers and everything, I said, what kind of movie is this? This looks a little strange. And you can see that to a certain degree, Waititi was doing a humoristic version of one of the most atrocious times in human history. But when you get past that and you actually watch it, you can see that there is a poignant journey from one thing to another. And that's what I really appreciated about this movie. And it takes you in, it sucks you in. And I'd say for me, I'd say midway point, I was already there, and the finishing of the movie was quite satisfying. So I had a good time. It is actually my third favorite movie of 2019. Top still is Parasite. Second is 1917, and Jojo Rabbit is my third. So these are, again, very, very good movies. Especially, I love the round of Oscar-nominated Best Pictures. They're all outstanding. I still haven't seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I'm going to try and see that in the next couple of days. Everything else I've seen so far. So again, in conclusion, be great if you can try and see this movie before the Oscars on Sunday. I believe it's still in theaters in some places because I guess of the Oscar buzz. I believe it is now on digital, so you can also rent it as well. But please, even after the Oscars, give it a chance. See Waititi style. See what everyone's talking about. See the shoe scene, and see what you can take away from it. So this ends my Triple J thoughts for this time. Thank you for taking the time to see my video. Please like and subscribe if you do like my points about the movie, and have fun.